Okay. Yeah, there's no audio because I wasn't speaking, but now I'm speaking. Yeah, thanks, my brother. Okay, I hope that I'm audible and everyone is able to hear me. Just by confirmation, can you please react or send a show just to indicate that you guys are able to hear me? Okay. Thanks. So most people did react. So I suppose that I'm audible enough. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. So, firstly, thank you. Thank you for joining. And secondly, thank you for taking your precious time, your most valuable time to come and look at Tabs and his presentation. And thirdly, thank you for taking your financial future seriously. Because, as I did mention to some of you, that this information that I'll be sharing today, if you were to look at me, let's say 5 years, 10 years time, you'll actually have to sell your house or maybe sell your car to be actually having to listen to this information. And that's not by way of bragging anything. I'm just thinking, I know there's ChatGPT and all the other information platforms, but the issue is that they cannot deliver the way as, let's say, educators or instructors might deliver such information. So thank you for doing that. And also thank you for, because you have taken time to listen to this investment podcast or investment webinar, this will not only enhance or advance your life, it will also advance the life of your friends and your family members, hopefully. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope that today or in this webinar, it's not just going to be theory based. It's not just going to be information driven, but also it's going to be practical tools that after you have listened to it, you are going to start investing, or maybe at least consider investing. Maybe not now, maybe in 5 days' time or in a week's time, you start to be an investor because it's an easy part. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into the contents of what we'll be discussing today. And I hope that it won't be too long, at least by 2 or 5 past 2, we will have been finished. Asive, are you raising your hand or is it just an indication? Asive, do you want to say something? Sivu? Maybe I suppose just an indication of they forgot to turn it off. Okay, let's go. Don't mind the Caspanyeva's picture there, just that I like the dramatic appearance that it folds, and I hope it had the same effect. So, we obviously, I'm going to do the introduction, whereby I'm gonna just say who am I for those of you who don't know me. But I would like to believe that most of you guys know me, unless maybe you were invited by a friend and then you don't know actually who I am. And then also I'll be offering why should you invest? Like what's the point in it? Even though it's obvious, but I think it's just going to be helpful for us to understand actually what are the reasons for us to invest. And then types of investments, and then where to invest, and then investment apps. And then you guys can ask questions there if you need clarity. Because sometimes, let's say I'm talking with someone about investing just in a random occasion, they might ask me, do I lose money investing? If you have such questions, you can post them on the chat board or you can ask them using your mic. And then I'll also give you 50 rands, a 50 rands reward because you have joined and used your time here. And you can use that 50 rand rewards to invest in easy equities because it's only usable in easy equities. I shouldn't have said that yet, but it's a really a useful reward. And then, okay, let's go to the third slide. I'm sure like maybe some of you are not Bible enthusiasts, you're not even Christians, maybe you don't even like God. I understand all of that. But if something is good, if something is a good writing, regardless of where it comes from, regardless who wrote it, even if it was a criminal, as long as it's good, you gonna like reference it. For instance, I sometimes get knowledge and advices from people who smoke drugs. Like they don't do like any criminal activities, but they just smoke. But they will also give you life advices. And I don't say to those people, no, you can't give me life advice because you don't practice it. Why are you smoking? Why don't you use that advice yourself? I don't say that because it's irrelevant. What's irrelevant is that what advice are they giving me? Is it practical? Is it helpful? So that's why I'm just referencing the Bible here. And plus, also, it's one of the most sold books in the world. So I think you can't like just step it aside. Okay, it's not a church or a gospel. Let's just move on to the first part of the contents. Why should you invest? Apologies. So, okay, some of you or some of us might be interested in creating generational wealth. And this word generational wealth has been been very popular, especially among academics or people who are into politics a lot. So I don't really have to define it because I would like to believe that most of you guys actually know it. So it's just that some people invest because of they think of their children, they think of their family members, they think of their wives and husbands, and they think of the future in general, like for future emergencies. And like for instance, if you're going to be having a child who's going to university, you want to save for that child. So by putting money in an investment account, we are actually helping to ensure that that child's educational future is taken care of. So that's the number one first reason why I would submit to you that you should invest. And secondly, additional income. And I think most of you, my friends, will have to agree with me when I say that a salary, if you have been working, or even if you're just using NSFAS or a bursary, you know that that 1.650 is not enough to actually cover even groceries, to be honest. How much more having to buy clothes or other life necessities? So if you are a person who is really looking forward to living a much more financial healthy life, you would want to add an extra stream of income into your income cycle because it's going to supplement your salary. And also, if you are hoping to be owning a house anytime soon, you can use your investments as leverage at a bank, and the bank will be much more willing to give you a loan if you have an investment, because they can use that as leverage in the case that you default with your mortgage or loan payments. So yeah, it really helps to have an additional stream of income. And you won't have to be working for this one because investments actually work for you. They actually put your money into work rather than you having to work for your money. And then sometimes they say the softer life, or like the softer life is the life. And yeah, sure, there is some truth into that, that you would like to live soft life, a life whereby you don't want to be having to struggle with finances, a life whereby you don't have to be struggle to make end meets like at the end of the month. And obviously this is not far-fetched ideas, because in as much as I too, like, I wouldn't say that I'm actually living the softer life, but like the way I look at it, at least it's getting close to the. Okay, can you guys see the screen? The screen?
Yes.
You can see it. Okay, thanks. Because someone was asking. Zizipo, please try and check it out if you can maybe fix your browser on and off. Is it on and off still, Wati? I think maybe it was dying down. Okay, I think I have to refresh it once in a while. Okay, thanks. So okay, I was in the softer life. The softer life is not a far-fetched ideal, and it's sort of something that you create while you not have living the soft life yet. So the way to create soft life is actually by investing. So in as much as I've said that, I have not yet reached that part of life, but as the way that I'm structuring how my finances go about, it's actually, I hope that it's leading to that path. So, whatever way you choose to define softer life, I think maybe some of us don't really want to be rich. I know, like, I have friends who don't want to be rich, but they just want to live comfortably in a way that they don't have to struggle about having to buy food or having to have money for transport or anything like that. So I know there are such people, but I know also at the same time there are people who like to be wealthy, as I one of them. Okay, and then the fourth reason that I would advise you to invest is a protection against inflation. And I think I should define what is inflation, in as much as I would like to believe this is grade 9 information, like grade 9 primary school information, but to be in a much more safer side so that everyone could understand, even if you never came across the word inflation. I think I should like at least provide a brief overview of it. So inflation is when, for instance, you see during 2010, 300 rands could buy a whole grocery, if I'm being honest. Like, I still remember it. I could buy 10 kg flour, 10 kg maize meal, oil, meat, and some, excuse me, and some beef on the side, or maybe like beef stock and such things. So during 2010, at that time, we were able to buy a lot of groceries with 300 rands. And then fast forward now, 2025, 300 can't even actually buy like even maize. Okay, you can buy maize meal obviously, but you won't be able to buy groceries with the 300s. You actually need more than that. Actually, three times more, like close to 900s, 1 point something to actually buy groceries. The same groceries that you actually had to buy with the 300 in 2010. So that we call inflation. So inflation is just like an gradual or constant increase in the price of goods and services. Or maybe put it in another way, is a constant decrease in the value of the rand or our currency. So how does then investing help you protect your money against inflation? If you are invested, let's say, in a company, let's say ShopRite, and your interest that you're earning in the stock price of ShopRite is actually 10% or 20%, which can be much more at times. We're gonna get into that on the other slides. You are protecting yourself against inflation, because inflation is always, or let me not say always, most of the time between 3 and 6%. So wherever you're going to be investing your money, it should be more than the inflation rate. So by you investing in shares, you're actually protecting your money against inflation, because in investing in shares, your money will always grow at a 10% rate or more, which is much more than the rate of inflation, which is between 3 and 6%, which is always sometimes at 6%. That's why you'll find out that in banks, the rate that they give you is actually almost all of the time between 3 and 6%. It depends at the inflation rate. So it might be 3.5, 4.5, or 6%. And I hope that was not too technical. I hope it was not too sort of mathematical for you to be able to grasp it. Maybe it's economics. I hope it makes sense. I really hope it does. Okay, and then we move to earn without working. I think I did touch this one on the additional stream of income part, because when investors talk about investments, they say that it's money, you earn money without working. So in other words, your money is working for you rather than you having to work for your money. So when you take, let's say, 200 rands and put it in a investment account, you don't have to go from 9 to 5 there trying to make sure that that money earns interest. It earns interest on itself. And on top of that, it earns interest on top of interest. Like it's what they call compound interest, interest that makes other interest. Okay, I think that's fair enough. I think we should be moving there. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Okay, so these are the types of investments. Sorry. These are the types of investment vehicles that are available. These are the only one, unless you can tell me other than that. And the other ones that are there are falling under these seven types of investment vehicles. Okay, because it's you guys are quiet here, I just like to see by show of hands, like, are you guys able to hear me again, just for once? Okay, thanks. Thank you. Because I don't want to make it a high school or maybe a lecture on a podcast. It's not a lecture, it's a webinar. Okay, thanks. So the first one, fixed deposits, and the second one, government retail bonds. I think most of you, I would like to bet, don't know that one. I would like to bet it, to be honest. You guys don't know government retail bonds unless you did business in high school. And also, you were taught by a good teacher, then you'll know what are government retail bonds. We do have like investors here. I think Sanele might be here. He actually knows what are government retail bonds. And then real estate, the real estate, obviously that one is famous. And then you have company shares, and then you have cryptocurrencies. And I think you guys actually know that one. It's been the Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been in the news for the longest. And then Krugerrands. And that one, I think you guys, I would like to bet 100 rands, you guys don't know that one. Unless maybe there's someone who actually knows. Then I'll be joking with that 100 rands bet. And then we have Forex. And Forex has been in the news. I think you have even saw on like the websites that you'll be visiting, they always advertise Forex. It's been there, there's always been excitement in it. Okay, so in the next slide, we'll be actually explaining what are these types of investment vehicles. Okay, starting with fixed deposits and savings account. So obviously, this one you actually know it. It's what you guys like use at your bank. Like you know what it is. So I'm not gonna dwell into that. It's a fixed deposit. You can put your money aside for 5 to 6 years, and you'll be able to earn interest like between 6 and 7%, depending, as I've said, on inflation, on the inflation rate. Okay, and then we move to the beginner, the government retail bonds. Government retail bonds. This investment vehicle, I'm just going to explain it as easy as I can. So it's when you, as a citizen, lend money to the government. Instead of saying that we are lending money to the government, we call it retail bonds. So you're gonna hear investors say, I'm buying government bonds. So when they say they're buying government bonds, they're actually borrowing government money. And in that money, they will be receiving interest because government will pay you. Okay, I'm just gonna repeat it for the last time. So I'm saying with government retail bonds, it's when citizens or you as a South African borrow, like actually borrow government money, and investors call that buying government bonds. Instead of saying that we are borrowing government money, we are actually saying we are buying government bonds. If you hear about, let's say, a bond repayment, they're talking about a house most of the time, and that house is actually in a loan. So it's the same as with the government. We are borrowing government money. We are borrowing government money. In other words, we are buying government bonds. I hope that it's like, I know it sounds like easy. Like it doesn't. It sounds what's the word, but it just sounds literal, like it's fake, but it is like that. It is, you are borrowing government money, and the interest that you earn on government bonds, it depends on the product that you choose. So the government as a retail bonds has three products: a fixed one, a an inflation linked one, and also a flexible one. So the fixed one, you're gonna put your money and not take it out. If you want to take it out, you're gonna have to pay a penalty. And that one requires a minimum amount of 1,000 for a fixed retail bond. And then the inflation linked one is linked with inflation. So the interest rate that you're going to be earning there is linked with inflation. So it's gonna be it's gonna be between 3 and 6%. Okay, I didn't mention how much is the interest on the fixed one. The interest on the fixed one is actually 10%. You see, that's huge. It's more than inflation if you invest your money on the fixed government retail bond. And then the flexible one, you can invest there 500s, and you can put it there for 2 years. Yeah, and it's going to be earning 9%. So that's also above the inflation rate. So in other words, you'll be able to be protecting your money against inflation. I see Vumile and Letu have raised hands. Do you guys want to say something? Okay, maybe not. So those are the three types of government bonds. And okay, so if you want to access your cash with government retail bonds, let's say you invested but you want your cash back, you're gonna get it, but obviously you'll have to pay a penalty, which will be about, let's say, 2%, 5% of the money that you've invested. And then there's no risk actually with government bonds, because government will always have money, regardless, even if the economy is going down or the economy is going up, government will always have money. So you don't have to be worried whether you're gonna still have your money or anything like that. Government will always have money, so you'll be able to be repaid. So that's why it's low risk or no risk at all. And where do you buy government bonds? You buy them at the government retail bonds website. Like really, you just type governmentretailbonds.co.za, and you can follow them on Facebook. Like they actually have a Facebook account where they advertise the bond. You can buy them with the minimum of 500 rands. So That's where you can buy them. But the most easiest way to actually buy government bonds, because if you're gonna buy them through the government retail website bond, you have to put in your addresses, like facts. Like there's a lot of documentation in there. It's taking time, but the most convenient way to do it is actually to, because that's where I buy government retail bonds. And also in this platform, you don't have to pay the full 200 rands, or let's say 500 to 1000 fee to buy government retail bonds. You can start with, actually, if I'm being honest, 10 rands to buy government retail bonds, and you're going to be earning the interest, the 10% or 6% interest, depending on which bond you have chosen to invest in. So on the EasyEquities platform, they offer all the government bonds that are available on the government retail bonds website. It's where it's much more convenient for you to be able to buy the bonds. Okay, where do I get EasyEquities? On the App Store. I mean, you're gonna see at the last slide what will be where you can buy actually all these investment vehicles. Okay, I think that was enough. I think we should be moving. Okay, to the 8th slide. Obviously, you guys know KO, but we're not going to be talking about KO. We're actually talking about real estate. And I think, when I was doing the slides, I was like, maybe this might sound too unrealistic, because how the heck, as a student, as someone who's not working, I'll be able to buy real estate now? So what's the point of me having to mention this? The beauty about investing is that there's always ways to actually invest, even if you have like small or less capital. Because again, in EasyEquities, you can buy properties. Like really, you can buy properties. You won't be owning the physical property or having control over the physical property, but you will have a share or a profit in whatever rent is being generated from that property. So to make an example, there was a bid, an auction. I think an auction. I don't have to define that one. For there's a res in Johannesburg. I'm not sure what's the name now, but there was a res where they needed money to buy that res. So what they did, they offered an auction on EasyEquities. And on that auction, people put in 10 rands, invested 20 rands, 100 rands. Obviously, there are people who invested huge amounts of money. So they were able to collect those amounts, and the people were able to buy the property. So the property was going to be owned by EasyEquities, but whatever, let's say, but you could have owned the property if you had invested more than EasyEquities. But because EasyEquities contributed 50% more than other people, so it makes them technically the owner of the property. But whatever amount that you invested in that property buying, you will gonna be getting a return on it. So for instance, if the property, just making an example, was 10 rands and you invested 1 rand there, so you will be earning 10% on the rent that they will be getting from that property. And also, as the property value goes up, you will also actually, if they are selling the property, you'll also get a share and a profit on top of that, because the property value has increased now. Instead of it being 10 rands, maybe it has increased to 20 rands. I think you guys know that the value of property doesn't decrease, it always goes up. Unlike buying cars or cell phones, or any technology, or most technological equipment, their value goes down, but the value of property always goes up. So, okay, obviously you guys know where to buy property. You can like check which property you want to buy, but because I don't, to be honest, I don't really believe, unless maybe you have inherited an inheritance from your mother or your grandparent and you have money set aside to buy a building. Yes, go ahead, do it. But for most of us, we don't have such a luck or inheritance. So what we can do is actually buy property via the EasyEquities platform or any platform that you would like to choose. It's just that I mention EasyEquities because it's what I'm much more familiar with, and it's much more easier to me to navigate through the app. I know there are other apps, but EasyEquities is much more convenient. Okay, cash time. Let's move now into the ninth slide. Yeah, yeah, this is my area of specialization. Like, I like shares, to be honest. And I hope I still have you guys, and I think I still have you entertained, or like you guys are able to hear what I'm saying, and the screen is still visible there. Uh, Shares, company shares. You know, when I was doing grade 7, I had always had difficulty, to be honest, try to understand what are shares. What are they called shares? Like, really, what are shares? Why are they being called shares? So just think about a pizza. Like, just imagine a Debonaire's pizza. A Debonaire's pizza with 10 slices or triangles, with 10 triangles. Just think about that now. And then you have, let's say, friend A, B, C, D, E. Those 5 letters, yeah. So we have friend A, B, C, D, E. And you guys, because we are 5, and you guys, because you are 5, you're going to have to divide the pizza. And in dividing that pizza, you guys are going to be having each 2 share, because there are 10 pizza, there's a 10 triangles there, and there are 5 people. So you're going to have to divide it 2, 2, 2, 2, each of you guys. So those are shares. Those triangles, those slices of pizza are shares. In other words, each and every one of you has a share on the pizza. You own, let's say, friend A owns 20%, and friend B owns 20%. So you guys own equally that whole pizza. So it's the same as with the company. So let's say you own shares at ShopRite. ShopRite is the pizza, and there are other people who are owning ShopRite. So there might be someone, a single person might be owning 51% of ShopRite, and another person might be owning 25% of ShopRite. So ShopRite is the pizza, and then the shares are the slices that are being divided amongst the people. But in the stock exchange, they don't say slices. What they say is shares. And shares are represented in numbers. They don't say slices, they say numbers. So figures that represent ownership. So that's why there's that definition there. Figures that represent ownership in a company. So those are shares. I hope it's the most beautiful and precise definition of it, I think. Okay, so with shares, how much you gonna earn as interest? You know, it's unlimited, really. If I can make an example for you, you know, Capitec in 2001, the share price of Capitec was about 10 rands. It was about 10 rands. Do you know how much is the share price of Capitec now? It's actually close to 5,000. Think about then, if you had bought Capitec in 2001, you would have been a millionaire today, possibly a billionaire if you had invested more. So the difference, the percentage difference between 10 Rand and 5,000 is more than, actually 1,000% also. It's more than that. So with shares, the interest can go up more than 10%, 20%, 50%. It can go, it's unlimited, it's exponential, if I'm being honest. And then how long do you have to hold shares? It depends on you. You can own shares today and sell them tomorrow. But wise investors keep shares at least, let's say, until 6 months to 5 years. Depends on whether the company is still making profit. And then access to cash. Yeah, we can have access to your cash anytime we want. You have access by selling the share. You can sell a share today. You can sell a share anytime. You can even sell it at night if you want. If you no longer want to own the company, or maybe you say that you don't feel like the company is going to be making cash, then you're going to be selling that share. And then the risk associated with buying shares is low, medium, high. It depends. What I mean by that is that it depends on the company that you're buying. For instance, if you're going to be buying ShopRite, bet me 100 rands. Do you think ShopRite will ever go out of business in 20 years' time, in 30 years' time? I doubt, to be honest. I don't think so. The way South Africans love ShopRite, it's highly unlikely that ShopRite will run out of profit unless maybe by some calamity, then they stop. But as the way it seems, ShopRite might be running out of, will still be the leader in retailing in the whole of Africa, to be honest. So in that, your money is safe if you invest in ShopRite. I'm just making an example. There are other plenty of companies that is safe way to want to invest your money. And then the medium risk, it depends on the company also. For instance, if you, there are companies now that are going to be selling weed because weed is being legalized somewhere. So there's a risk to that because there is so much rules and regulations around weed. So people might not be actually buying weed all the time. Or maybe like they will be buying weed all the time. No, I'm sorry. It's just that the government will always be changing laws, trying to check which laws is a much more suitable to regulate weed or the sale of weed. So there's medium risk to that because the company has to stop working until government is able to fix the regulations. So there's going to be a risk in that way. And then there are high risk then. High risk companies that are, Pick and Pay. Like, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of this the story of Pick and Pay, but Pick and Pay has been losing money, and it's been shutting down stores like almost in all South Africa. And the reason why they're doing that, it's because, okay, the reason why they are suffering financially, it's because of load shedding. That's what they said in their financial statements, that it's because of load shedding that they are not making money. So in that case, Pick and Pay, most people who invested in Pick and Pay lost money because Pick and Pay was shutting down. But it was not removed from the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, like the JSE, where people buy shares. Because do you know that Boxer, do you know which company owns Boxer? Like Boxer, the retail supermarket, Boxer, like Boxer. Do you know which company owns it? It's Pick and Pay. So Pick and Pay owns Boxer. So because Pick and Pay owned Boxer, it was able to at least sustain its presence in the retail market. So it has not been delisted or removed from the JSE because it still has an asset, which is Boxer. So yeah, so shares are low risk, medium risk, high risk, depending on which company you will be buying. So as the same as with the interest, the profit that you can make in buying shares is unlimited. It can go to 500%, 1000%, depending. And where do you buy shares? So shares are bought at the JSE, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But the issue is that you and me, as individual citizens, are not allowed to directly buy shares at the JSE. And there are reasons for that, which I'm not going to mention now. The only way that me and you can buy shares is through brokers. Brokers are people who are financial advisors or financial consultants. You can buy through them, but also you can buy shares through apps. Like for instance, Easy Equities, in as much as it is an app, but it is a broker, and also Brockstock or XM and all these other apps that sell and buy shares, you can buy through them because they are brokers. And then in shares, you actually earn in two ways. You earn by firstly appreciation. Appreciation is when, for instance, you bought a share at 10 rands and then that share went up to 20 rands. So you're gonna earn 10 rands there. But also you're gonna earn a profit or a dividend, yeah, a dividend based on the profit that that company made. For instance, if Shoprite in 2025 has made 100 rands profit and you as a shareholder of Shoprite owns, let's say, 20% of the shares of Shoprite, you're gonna receive 20 rands and then 100 rands profit that Shoprite has made, plus also capital appreciation of the stock price, of the share price. Yeah, I hope that was much more clear. Yeah. Okay, before I move on, like, is there any questions that you like to ask on shares? Because I think it's the much more one sort of economically informed in a way. So, like, is there any question that you like to ask on shares? Anyone? You can type it in the chat box. Okay. I don't see anyone having to asking question there. So we going to be moving a bit. And then we are going now to cryptocurrencies. Okay, this one has been there. It's been in the news, and the way that I will explain it to you is like this. You see, before money, before we use 10 rands, 20 rands, 1 rands, before we use paper money, people used to barter. They used to exchange. Like, they used to, if for instance, your mother is making cabbages and my mother is making potatoes, so my mother and your mother will exchange. But there was a time whereby, let's say, your mother doesn't want my mother's potatoes, and my mother doesn't want your mother's cabbages. So it won't be working there because they're going to be fighting. So one day, this other guy decided, okay, no, let's have something that will help us be able to buy and exchange goods and services between one another. So they use sometimes salt to exchange goods. So I'm gonna give you a certain salt, then you're gonna give me the goods. So it went and it went. And then somewhere in China, because they say like the Chinese invented paper money. So somewhere in China, someone decided, no, let's use paper to actually change transactions in order to make us be able to change money with one another. And then, and some people were like, no, paper money doesn't have value. Let's have crypto money. So that's when then there's this guy called Satoshi Nakamoto. Nakamoto is the one who created Bitcoin. So Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin. So how does Bitcoin work? There's this thing called blockchain. Blockchain, okay, I'm not gonna go like as too much complicated. Just think about a think about an internet, but it's an internet that's specific to Bitcoin. So in that internet, no one is able to, in the blockchain, no one is able to see what's happening there. Even the government, even any IT specialist, they're not able to see what's happening in the blockchain. So in that way, Bitcoin is able to work. So Bitcoin is not an actual coin like a 5 rand, 2 rand. It's an electronic coin that is valued like, I'm not sure what's the price, but it's close to 100,000 or 200,000 now. And that people use to change to buy goods and services. So instead of using paper money, people are actually using Bitcoin now. It's the most riskiest investment, to be honest. And I, for one, I don't buy Bitcoin, to be honest, because it doesn't have intrinsic value. But it's not only Bitcoin, there are other coins, Lunar Coin, Solana, Alta Coin, and all these other coins. But all these other coins are built from Bitcoin. So that's why I just mentioned Bitcoin there. Where can you buy Bitcoin? Also, you can buy Bitcoin at the JSE, or you can buy in EasyEquities or Blockstock, any broker that you might be wanting to buy from. Okay, and then Krugerrands. Krugerrands is gold, are gold coins. Sometimes they are called bullions, and these ones are really valuable. These are the grandest value because it's actual gold coins. It's gold coins that you can use to buy, but you won't be able to buy Go My Friend or ShopRite, but you can buy like in places whereby they accept gold as a payment. So South Africa was the only country that was selling Krugerrands back before 1994, but now it has competition. So with Krugerrands, you can buy them and keep them at your house for in case maybe the value of money goes down and you still have gold coins. So buying gold coins, I think it makes you feel the type of a rich person. Instead of owning the whole gold, you actually have coins that you hidden somewhere. That's what rich people do, honestly. They buy Krugerrands and keep them under their house in the safe or somewhere. And or you can choose to keep them forever, but you can also sell them if you want. And then you can obviously, because access to cash is medium, gold is a cash itself, it's a value itself. So it depends, like if someone wants a gold you can take cash, but anytime you'll be able to exchange your gold for cash because gold is value. And then the risk is low there, obviously. But if you keep your gold in your mattress, obvious you are increasing the risk because someone might steal it, or maybe your stubborn cousin or criminal cousin might come and steal it. So that's why I'm saying there's a low risk there. And then the profit that you're making there depends on the gold price. I think it's been famous now, this one also in the news, that the price of gold has been rising. Sometimes they say it has reached maximum highs. Gold is actually selling at about $30,000 now. That's about close to 100 and something rands. Or maybe I'm lying. Uh, yeah, so you earn profit on gold based on the value of gold. If it increases, then you're also gonna earn profit on that. The only way that you can buy gold is through Rand Refiner. It's not the only way, there are other brokers, but Rand Refiner is the most legit compared to other brokers. And also, let's say you don't have the money to buy gold. You can also buy companies that own gold at the JSE. For instance, African Rainbow Capital also sells gold, and I think Sibanye Stillwater also mines gold. So you buy the companies that mine gold. In that way, you have exposure to gold. Okay, and then this one, also this one has been very in the excitement. I know a guy where I come from. He used to do forex a lot, and one this other time, what he did, he posted a video on YouTube, and he faked it, to be honest, because he was standing behind. There's a place called Comfy where I come from, and a place called Comfy, it has beautiful houses. So this guy like was standing there shooting content there for his YouTube podcast, and in the YouTube podcast, it looked like he owned a house and he was advertising forex, that people should join in forex so they will earn money. Okay, the reason why I'm mentioning that story is because forex is you can't really make money on forex that much. The only people that can make money on forex is people who have huge amounts of money, like for instance 100,000. Then you'll be able to make money. But if you have less cash, you won't really be able to make money on forex. You will either like lose your money actually. So what is forex? Forex just means foreign exchange. Foreign exchange. So when you go to Swaziland or to Switzerland, you have to pay in euros or Swiss dollars, I think. Yeah, Swiss dollars. And then when you exchange that money, you're gonna earn interest. You're gonna earn more than what you exchanged on. But let me bring it to home, like with the dollar and the rand. So I think you guys know that $1 is equal to currently 18 rands. So in other words, if you're coming from the United States and you have $1, here in South Africa it's going to be 18 rands. And sometimes the value of the dollar might increase. It might go to 19 rands. So again, $1 again, your $1 will be 19 rands. So when you do Forex, that's what they do. They send money they take their rands and turn them into dollars. And then they wait until the value of the dollar increases. And then they send back their dollars into South Africa to earn interest. So that's how people earn money on Forex. Just basically simply as like that. And where can you do Forex? Also with easy equities, you can do Forex there. But I also have Forex, but I don't have specific Forex. What I do is I buy shares from the United States. For instance, now I own a company called VNet. VNet is a company that does software. It's based in China, but it's operating in America. So I take my rands and exchange them into dollars. And then I earn double there because the share price of that company will increase, but also the value of the dollar might increase. So when I take back my money from dollars into South African rands, I earn Forex plus I earn also on my share. So I don't have to specifically focus on Forex. I can focus also on buying shares and Forex at the same time. Okay. And then these are the investment apps that are good for actual investing. So for if you want an easy app, like a really easy, super easy app, especially if you're using Capitec, because Easy Equities is partnering with Capitec to provide its customers with exposures to share. So I use Easy Equities for myself, and I'm not advertising Easy Equities. That's why, like you're saying, I have other brokers there. But because I've used Easy Equities, I think it's much more easier for me uh, to suggest it or recommend it. But there are also Cetrix and Brockstock and XM Trading. So all these apps work similar to Easy Equities, but I just like Easy Equities because it's much more easier for me. You might be interested in using Brockstock because I know other people use Brockstock around me. So it's much more also similar to Easy Equities. Yeah. And then, okay, so these questions are like what most people ask me, but you guys can pose other questions on top of these ones. So, like, how much do you need to start investing? How much do you need to start investing? To be honest, if you really want me to be honest, and this is not a joke or like I'm playing or I'm being childish, you actually need you can invest starting with 50 rands, to be honest, or not 50 rands, I'm lying, actually with 50 cents. 50 cents you can invest, like currently now ETV, like ETV, the company that's like SABC1, SABC2, SABC3, ETV is selling at 50 cents a share. So you can log into Easy Equities or Brockstock, you can buy Easy Equities with 50 cents. But obviously, if you're thinking long term, you're not going to be earning so much interest on the 50 cents. Even if it's 10%, like the 10% of 50 cents is 5 cents. So you're going to be having 50 cents, 5 cents. So it's better that at least you start with 20 rands, at least, or 10 rands, then you'll be able to earn at least a much more better profit in that. But there are other companies that are good, that are also selling at low prices from 5 rand, 7 rand, 10 rands. The company that I own currently is ShopRite. I also own ShopRite. ShopRite is selling at 200 rands a share, and that's expensive, I think, for most of us. But the beauty about Easy Equity is that they allow you to buy shares. Even if a share is costing 5,000, you can buy a share at 20 rands, to be honest. So if you want to own ShopRite but you don't have the 200 rands, you can buy it still with 20 rands, and you will be earning bits of profits on that, just to get you kick-started in having to invest. I think that's better. Okay, what if I lose my money? If you invest in shares, or in shares specifically, you are really not going to be losing your money, to be honest, unless the company shuts down. If the company shuts down, then you're going to be losing your money. But I think me and you know that it's highly unlikely that a company will shut down. There are exceptional cases, for instance, I said Pick and Pay recently. Yeah, those are exceptions, but most of the time companies don't shut down. But the share price will go down and also go up depending whether the company is making profit or not, or also depending on whether people who are buying shares think the company will be profitable. Okay, before we get into me giving you the 50 rands, guys, do you have any questions so far or any comments, please? Because I think we are done now with the slides. Ngaiba, you don't have any questions, bro? Or anyone else? Naledi, you don't have any questions or comments?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
My question is, where can we get information about the company that ask is, yeah, something like that. Where can we get information?
The information about companies.
Selling their shares.
Okay, I understand. So firstly, companies sell shares all the time. So there's no announcement that companies are selling shares at this time, unless maybe it's a startup company. If it's a new company, let's say Naledi Limited is being listed on the JSE, that's going to be announced, and you'll get that from the JSE website and also Business Day. Business Day is a newspaper, but it's also available on YouTube. They do announcements there about companies being listed. So if you want to buy a share, you actually go to a company app, a share app. For instance, in Easy Equities, you just put in your details and go buy a company. You don't have to wait to ask whether are they selling shares or what, because company shares are being sold all the time, like anytime, all the time.
Okay, that was loud and clear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Vumile, thanks for the question. He's asking how much money do you recommend that I would recommend for you to invest? If I'm being honest with you, my brother, it depends on your budget and everything. But for me, what I do all the time is I try to invest at least 200 rands a month. But before I was working, what I did, I would invest 50 rands a month. At least I will try to do that. Just invest 50 rands, whatever money that I have remaining. Okay, not that I have remaining, but because investing is always the first thing that I think when I have cash. So I don't have to shop first and then invest later. I actually invest and then shop later. So to be specific, I would say to my brother, you can invest between 50 rands and 200 rands a month if you want to do that. Or maybe you can do once